Before I begin, let me ask you something. If you found a box buried under your own house, a box no one talked about, a box that looked older than the land itself, would you open it? Or would you cover it back and pretend you never saw it? Think carefully, because this story is not about treasure. It is about what happens after curiosity wins. And by the time the story ends, you may never feel comfortable standing on the ground beneath your feet again. The street looked normal. Quiet houses, familiar faces, children playing during the day. Nothing about it felt dangerous. But let me ask you this. Have you ever lived somewhere that felt normal? Until one day it didn't. Because that street had a silence. Not the peaceful kind. The kind where people mind their business and avoid asking questions. And sometimes, silence makes it easier for terrible things to stay hidden. The couple moved in quietly. No celebration. No introduction. Just a man and a woman. Let me ask you, how well do you really know the people who live next to you? They were polite. They paid their bills. They kept their compound clean. Too clean. No visitors. No loud arguments. No laughter that carried through the night. Years passed. No one questioned them. And maybe that was the first mistake.
Behind their house was a small piece of land. Nothing special at first. But grass did not grow well there. Water gathered in one spot and refused to dry. Even insects avoided it. Let me ask you this, have you noticed how animals sense danger before humans do? No one touched that land. Not because they were warned, but because something about it felt wrong. And when people feel something is wrong, they often choose to ignore it. Then came the rain. Heavy. Relentless. The kind of rain that feels different. The kind that soaks deep into the ground. By morning, the soil behind the couple's house had sunk slightly. Not enough to cause alarm. Just enough to reveal something dark beneath. Wood. Old. Buried. Let me ask you, who buries a wooden box deep inside a residential compound, and never comes back for it? The husband noticed it first. He did not call anyone. He did not ask questions. They waited until night. Why night? Why not daylight? For 3 nights, they dug quietly. Stopping often. Listening. As if they were afraid something might hear them. On the 3rd night, the shovel hit something solid. A box. Old. Wrapped in cloth that fell apart when touched. Heavy. And the moment they lifted it, sleep stopped coming easily. They carried the box inside the house. That was the moment everything changed. Inside were coins. Not modern. Not familiar. There were small carved objects, pieces of bone. And at the bottom, a folded piece of leather. Covered in shapes. Not words. Just lines that made the eyes uncomfortable. Let me ask you, have you ever looked at something and felt fear, without knowing why? The wife said the room felt smaller. The husband said the air felt heavy. They should have closed the box. They didn't. From that night, the neighbors noticed changes. The couple stopped greeting anyone. Lights stayed on all night. And sometimes, very late at night, a low sound came from the house. Not loud. Just enough to make people pause and listen. Let me ask you, what kind of sound makes you afraid, even when you can't explain it? Dogs refused to pass the gate. Children woke up from bad dreams. Then came the smell. Not trash. Not sewage. Something old. Something wrong. And slowly, the neighbors understood something terrifying. The box was not just buried. It was connected to the place. So let me leave you with this question. If something buried underground begins to change people, does that mean it was waiting to be found? Neighbors will begin to see things. People will leave without explanation. And those who try to speak about it, will realize their words no longer work. Let me ask you something before we continue. If your neighbor suddenly changed, if their house began to feel wrong, if your body told you to stay away, would you listen to that feeling? Or would you ignore it, until it was too late? Because on that street, people ignored it. And the street paid the price. After the box was brought into the house, the couple became strangers. They no longer greeted anyone. Their gates stayed closed at all times. The lights inside their house stayed on, even when the rest of the street was asleep. Let me ask you this, what kind of people need light, but never come outside? Neighbors began to notice things. Small things at first. Footsteps in the middle of the night. Not outside. Inside their own homes. Some said it sounded like walking beneath the floor. Others said it sounded like someone pacing, slowly, patiently. Let me ask you, if you heard footsteps under your bedroom, would you investigate? Or would you pretend you heard nothing? Most people pretended. A woman who lived next door was the first to speak. She said she could hear voices at night. Not loud. Not clear. But close, as if someone was whispering just outside her wall. She said the voices stopped the moment she turned on the light. Let me ask you, why does fear grow stronger in the dark, even when nothing is visible? Another neighbor claimed he saw figures. Standing in the couple's compound. Not moving. Not speaking. Just standing. Facing his house. He said they stayed there until dawn. Let me ask you this, if you saw people standing in silence, watching your home, night after night, would you sleep? Children were the next to change. They stopped playing near the couple's house. They complained of dreams. Not nightmares. Dreams where they were awake, but unable to move. Dreams where someone stood near the fence, watching. Let me ask you, why do children sense danger before adults accept it, Then neighbors began to leave. Quietly. No arguments. No announcements. One house became empty overnight. Then another. Then another. Furniture left behind. Doors unlocked. Let me ask you this, who leaves their home without taking anything, unless they believe they will never return? People began asking questions. But only in whispers. No one went to the couple directly. No one knocked on their gate. Because anyone who went too close, returned different. Quiet. Shaken. Unwilling to explain. Let me ask you, what could someone see, that makes them refuse to speak? One man decided to go to the police. He said he could not sleep. He said the ground under his house felt hollow. He said something was moving, under the street. But when he reached the police station, he could not speak. His mouth opened. No words came out. He collapsed. Let me ask you this, how do you explain fear, when fear steals your voice? After that, no one else tried. Neighbors avoided the police. Avoided the street. Avoided each other. People who moved away refused to answer calls. Some claimed they had never lived there. Let me ask you, can fear erase memory? Or does the mind hide what it cannot survive? The street grew quiet. Too quiet. No laughter. No arguments. No movement at night, except from one house. The couple's house. Lights still on. Low sound still coming from inside. And sometimes, a smell that made people cover their noses. And walk faster. Let me ask you, what kind of smell makes your body react, before your mind understands? By now, the police had noticed. Not complaints. Absences. Empty houses. Missing families. Records that no longer made sense. Let me ask you this, when an entire street begins to disappear, how long can authorities ignore it? So let me leave you with this question. If people are too afraid to speak, and too afraid to stay, what do you think the police will find, when they finally step inside that compound? Words will stop working. Minds will begin to break. And the truth will refuse to stay hidden. Stay with me. Because soon fear becomes real.